Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. Episode 13 here at the Circus of Safety videocast, where myself, Brenton, Des, and Andy, who is joining us, thankfully, want to guide you through the thrilling place or thing or theme of workplace health and safety. No doubt with a bit of passionate entomology. I just thought I'd throw in a big word there for a minute. I don't even know what that means. With obviously a whole bunch of humor and hopefully a touch of magic as we move through and discover this. There we go. No, now we're taking the mickey. Are we for real?
So
you've got a mug, and what, Des? What are you wearing,
Oliver?
Des, this is.
That's nice. There's a like that.
It's my new pullover. Thank you.
This.
It's got a very special logo on it.
Nice.
It's my Circus of Safety pullover.
You know what makes us even worse, guys? You know what makes us this even worse than the mug situation? What makes it worse is we all caught up the other week. We were all in the same room. Andy, you had an opportunity to give me a mug and whatever that thing is that Des is wearing, and again, I've been left out.
I don't know what happened. I think I was just too engaged with the fabulous friends of the show that turned up to enjoy a drink with us.
Wow. Okay, well, hey, listen, before we get into the show, I just gotta kind of check in with our audience. And normally this time of the show, I kind of reflect back on the last episode, which was episode 12, because this is episode 13, and I kind of go back and I reflect on one of our live audience's knowledgeable and insightful comments. But I've got to be fair, guys. I think last show, episode 12, I think we broke the internet. I literally think we broke the internet. I mean, nobody posted, nobody commented, nobody spoke to us. And no. Oh.
We got Oliver, the safety advisor, with his own Circus of Safety.
Oh,
what's that jumper? A hoodie.
How cool is that?
Well done,
How
Oliver.
cool is that, Des? Isn't that cool? You better go to school. See you later, safety advisor.
Wow. This is out of control. This is absolutely out of control. I think we might need a.
Why haven't you earned yours yet, Brenton? What's going on there?
I think we're going to have to go back to the episode of psychological safety here and really think about what you guys are doing, to be fair. I'm really starting to feel the pinch, but it's good to see. It looks like we've fixed the internet. We've already got some comments coming in, so a big shout out and thank you to that. But yeah, listen, it's great to have the feedback and people commenting. But yeah, so listen, anyway, before we kind of get into it, there's anything exciting coming up for you in the next sort of couple of weeks, mate?
Well, we got heading into the Christmas break, which I'm very much looking forward to. But the last couple of days, I've been feeling a lot of gratitude.
Nice.
For the people around me, and including you guys.
Thank you.
And the Circus of Safety audience and everyone out there. But yeah, I'm just feeling grateful to be surrounded by sort of supportive and good people.
Nice. Oh, great. No, that's.
And there's not a hint of sarcasm in that. I know there's a bit of laughter in the background there, but not a hint of sarcasm at all.
I was going to say it's quite touching, mate. Quite touching. Andy, mate, how you been? What have you been up to?
I've been working in the forests in the central North Island last few days. It's been awesome.
Nice.
New Zealand Forest Management barbecue last night. Big shout out to them. Awesome event.
We missed the invite, mate. I always like a free feed.
It was one heck of a feed. It was sensational. And then today's really last day of work of the year for me.
Yeah.
I'll just open myself up to a whole barrage of comments from you guys at that point.
Of course, it's like that for consultants, right? I mean, mate, it's not even the 20th of December yet, and you're knocking off for the year. I mean, Des, when do you knock off, mate? Or do you not knock off? I guess in the real world, right? We don't sleep in safety.
So safety never sleeps. No, we're working all the time.
Unless you're a consultant, of course, and you get to do what you want, when you want, how you want, right? Honestly, this is just Anyway,
yourself, Brenton, what's been going on with you?
I'm just lining up a whole bunch of work over the Christmas work period, mate, because some of us have to keep working and
Nice.
working. No, I got not a lot really. I'm just kind of spending a little bit of time at home. Being on the bit of the travel buzz lately and been getting around. So good to just spend some time at home and getting up for the family. Getting ready for the Christmas cheer, as it will. So quite exciting. So apart from that, looking pretty good. Hey, Andy, before we get over to Des, any kind of words of wisdom from your last week of training out there in the big wide world, mate?
Well, I haven't been training this week. It's been consulting this week, and thoroughly enjoying it. Some really interesting discussions around overlapping duties, which has been really quite. We should probably put that on the wheel, to be perfectly honest with you.
Overlapping duties. No worries. We'll chuck that up there. Not today though, but maybe for the new year.
Today, no. We need to do some research and make sure that it comes up on the right time.
So just on that, before we start diving into anything technically safety, Des, can you hit us with our disclaimer, please, mate?
I can, and we already mentioned that we're heading into the festive season, and I've never really considered myself a superstitious or spiritual person, but I had a dream this week, and it made me take pause because it was a very vivid dream. And in this dream, I was visited by ghosts, and it was so real and so moving. And I immediately woke up and wrote down today's disclaimer in one go. It was what you might call a moment of supernatural inspiration.
Wow.
So here goes. In the enchanting world of our podcast, where insights dance like snowflakes in winter's night, let us heed the cautionary whispers of the three disclaiming ghosts of Christmas. The ghost of disclaiming past reminds us that historical context shapes our narrative, yet acknowledging the evolution of knowledge is vital for a well-informed present. The ghost of disclaiming present cautions us to understand the boundaries of our discussions as we strive to provide content within the scope of our expertise. In the glow of the dust of ghost of disclaiming future, we glimpse uncertainties. While we aspire to share enlightening perspectives, we're not fortune tellers. Seek advice from qualified professionals for personalized guidance on your unique journey. Be mindful, dear listeners, that our podcast is not a substitute for professional advice. We are not legal, financial, or expert apparitions. Navigate your path responsibly, and may the wisdom of these disclaiming ghosts accompany you on your podcast journey. Merry Christmas, and may the good spirits of the supernatural world guide your disclaiming journey.
Wow, mate, that's
beautiful. That's beautiful. There's a message there for all of us.
That was next level. Thank you for that, and very appropriately themed, I guess. You've always struck me as a special sort of person, and the fact that ghosts are coming to you in your sleep would just validate that statement, right? So, no, it's great. Hey, boys. Well, listen. Let's get into it. Eh? Let's bring up the wheel and let's give it a spin. I'm not gonna. We've decided. We've had a bit of a conversation at our first Empire planning session, and we've decided by suggesting what we would like on the wheel, we're actually jinxing the whole process. So we've decided. Well, I've decided. Sorry, gentlemen, we're not going to do that anymore. I'm just going to spin the wheel. So, are you ready?
Born ready.
Let's do it.
Let's go. Let's do this. Last one for the year.
Root cause analysis.
Wow, there we go. I think this is somebody's been looking forward to this one all year, I think. So there we go. We've got it. That's the final topic for the year, root cause analysis. So let's take it away, Des. I mean, wow, what a topic, right? I mean, must be excited about this, surely. Thoughts, first sort of stuff that comes to mind.
I am very excited, and in fact, investigations is probably my most the part of the job that I'm most interested in. And I think a good investigation can achieve some pretty amazing things. And when I think of root cause analysis, I think sometimes I've seen a lot of criticism of that term, and a lot of that criticism seems to be based on the idea that root cause analysis means that there's only one root cause. And maybe it's a poor choice of words. but I think a good investigation can achieve some pretty amazing things, and a root cause analysis may be the way of achieving that.
So you're a learned man. So if you're suggesting that maybe it's a misunderstanding of the word as in root being singular, what is the term for multiple roots? Is there such a term?
You just said it, root.
Good question.
So what do we call it? Roots cause analysis?
Possibly.
I don't know. I'm just putting it out there. What is the multiple?
Or would you go root causes analysis?
Root causes analysis. Well, there we go.
Probably root causes. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's interesting. Although I don't know. I'll jump in here next when I'm thinking about root cause analysis before we head over to Andy. I always, I don't know, I think it was back from when I first went to safety school. And I mean, I didn't know much about root cause analysis or anything like that. But when the image that I've got stuck in my head, which terrifies me, is an image of a tree and the roots.
Health and safety reps too.
Just like, and all I've got in my head is this big tree with these roots, and I kept getting distracted, thinking, what if that tree fell over? What if that tree landed on my head? And so I kind of, but I guess when you think about a tree and you think about roots, I guess trees don't have a singular thing, right? They've got a number of branches and a number of things that go off, and then again sub things that go off. So I guess if you stuck a tree maybe in the back of your mind whenever you think about root cause analysis, hopefully that might help clear it up. But I too, Des, I am a fan. I've got to be fair. I'm excited to talk through this topic with you. I'm keen to challenge some of the traditional thinking on this, but I am a fan, and my thoughts around it is it brings organization to the chaos, right? Is kind of how I generally describe what we use it for, because you think about something's gone wrong generally, and we can banter about whether you can do this proactively, I guess, but generally this is used when something goes wrong, right? Most of us, 99% of us, probably really only have the time to do it retrospectively, and it's chaos, right? Something's happened, things are going on, and so it brings a bit of organization to the chaos. So that's my thoughts. I'm quite excited about this. Andy, your thoughts, mate? Root cause analysis. How excited are you?
Oh, very excited. I love root cause analysis. But as what surprised me, I think clearly there needs to be some clear definitions around what the terms mean.
Here we go again. Can we stop with the yada yada yada? Like let's be innovative.
This is what happens. I've been re-listening to some of the shows and doing a bit of analysis, and like I've indicated in the past, it always starts with you disagreeing with me, and at the end you agree with me.
Is that why we've had a spike in our listenership? Because you've been sitting here listening to yourself rapping on about definition.
So I think in its simplest term, root cause analysis refers to just going a step beyond the immediate causes.
We've discussed this going beyond thing before, mate. Like you can't go back. We can't repeat the same show again.
No. But the immediate cause would be somebody stuffed up. Any sort of root cause in my mind would be where you go beyond that. It gets interesting how far you go beyond that, because a few months ago I had Des phone me up, and he was very excited, which is quite unusual for Des. And he goes, Andy, I've had an epiphany. And I said, what's that? He says, surely the root cause of every event is the Big Bang. And my response to him was, hallelujah, somebody else thinks the same way that I do. But I don't know how helpful that is.
It's not.
Yeah. So it is.
It's
a case of not going back to the Big Bang, but going beyond somebody stuffed up. There's a void between the two, and that's where the root cause analysis in my mind sits.
Can we just give Des the opportunity to try and talk his way out of this paper bag around how everything links back to the Big Bang Theory? And I'm not talking about the TV show here. We're talking about, I'm assuming, the scientific theory that the world started like that, right? Go, Des. How are you going to get out of this?
Well, if we're going to say that, and it would follow logically that the root cause of everything is a Big Bang, but it's obviously absurd in the context of a workplace investigation. So you need to draw a line somewhere. And to me, that highlights something that a lot of people don't tend to recognize, is where do you draw that line? And that's a completely arbitrary decision. You just say, I think it should be here, and you just draw the line, and that's where we're going to stop.
Yeah, I agree, and that's why some of the models that are out there for root cause analysis, they've effectively made that decision for you. So ICAM, which is the sort of, I guess, the go-to root cause analysis methodology in New Zealand, that stops at the organizational factors. And they're quite clearly defined in most ICAM models. There's either 12, 14, 16 of them, depending on which version you're using. And that's where you stop. But the reality is you could always go beyond that, because the organization is influenced by other things like government policy. And you could go there.
I mean,
certainly Des has done a really interesting investigation in the past where he's found the root cause that is way beyond the organization's influence.
Okay, it's only Des could, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you flick me that 12 organizational factors model? The less for me, the better, mate. The less work I've got to actually do, the happier I am. But hey, so Andy, thinking about root cause analysis, clearly you've been putting a bit of thought into this. I mean, listen, let's get on the same page here. Let's just talk through your understanding of it a bit more. I mean, you started to kind of delve into that a little bit already, but do you want to expand on your understanding or your thought around root cause analysis?
Yeah, I guess so. You've got to look from a historical perspective, is that traditionally something goes wrong in the workplace, the person that was nearest to it that either got hurt or didn't get hurt gets blamed for it, they get sacked, and it moves on again. And it was only upon when organizations run out of workers effectively, so they recruit somebody else, they have an accident, they sack them. It's only at that point when people start to say, well, maybe it's not the person, maybe it's the system, maybe it's something else. And that's where you would start. That's where root cause analysis originates. It's going beyond blaming the individual. But like Des said, it's how far back you go from that to the Big Bang. Or do you stop before that? And there's nothing wrong with anything. It's just having an understanding of that's it. You will never fully get to the true root cause unless you get to the Big Bang.
Well, I mean, I guess does it depend on whether you're an in-house safety professional or a consultant, right? So I guess if you're a consultant, you're potentially paid by the hour, right? So the further you can dig and the further you can go back and the longer you take, potentially, the better it is for your monthly invoicing, right? But
Whoa, back up the bus, man. That's a debate on ethics. That's not for today.
Well, I'm just going to put it out there, mate. I'm just going to say, because I guess the reality is
that's a good point, though. Okay, so let's think that through. So, what's the root cause of that? What's the root cause of me making an investigation bigger than it needs to be to get more money?
Yeah.
It's capitalism.
That's what consultants do, right? It's in your genes.
We live in a capitalist society where money's king. Yeah, so that's your root cause. So then the corrective action is communism.
Wow. So we've got a root cause on a root cause. Wow. This is that's
what we said. Is it keeps going back to as far as you want it to go. But you stop.
Why capitalism? Why can't we have feudalism instead?
Well, before we start going down the rabbit hole, Des, jumping up to you, mate. I mean, root cause analysis. You said at the start of the show you're quite excited about this and you're looking forward to it. I mean, what's your theory? What's your understanding of it, I should say? Sorry.
There's a sphere of influence that an organization has, and I think you need to find out what the limit of that sphere of influence is. And your root cause probably lies somewhere on the edge of that sphere of influence. So if you're blaming a person, to me, that's a fairly obvious sign that you haven't asked enough questions and you need to dig further. And maybe you can simultaneously blame someone and also dig further. So if you are digging further and you're asking why did someone act in that particular manner, then you might dig a bit deeper and say, well, maybe they weren't trained, or maybe they weren't as adequately supervised. And if you say they weren't trained, well, then why weren't they trained adequately? You know, is there a breakdown in the process, and or is there a breakdown in the training? Was the training not effective? And well, then, okay, why was the training not effective?
So,
and you need to keep digging to find out what's going on. And there'll come a point where you'll find something that sits outside the organization. So you bring it back one step and say, this is a thing we can fix. And the thing outside our organization, maybe we can influence that and put pressure on that external party to make a change.
Cool.
But I think that's, if there's an arbitrary line that needs to be drawn in causation, for me, that's where I would draw it for a workplace investigation.
So a couple of things, and I'd just like to kind of ask you on your thoughts there then, Des. Love the concept of sphere of influence, and I think that's really important to understand, right? What can we actually control versus what can't we control, right? But so would you be suggesting, and or have I misinterpreted what you're saying around individuals and people? Are we saying here that people aren't, if people are to, if we're blaming somebody, we haven't gone far enough. So are we therefore saying that people aren't ever to blame? Is that what we're saying?
No. So when it comes to blame, there's kind of three aspects there's to that, and this is probably the subject of the other topic on our spinning wheel of death. But to me, there's three aspects. There's no blame in relation to incident reporting. There's no blame in relation to causation in an investigation, and then there's no blame in relation to the outcome of an investigation. So what we're talking about today is causation, effectively, root cause. So absolutely, someone's behavior, poor behavior, good behavior, can be part of the chain of causation. But I'm saying if you finish your chain of causation at that point, you haven't investigated deeply enough.
Cool, and I think that's important to remember, right? Because we've still got a number of topics on that spinning wheel of death to get through, and we're not going to have time this year. But we've got to be mindful that we're not saying that people don't play a part in this, right? And we're not saying it's all about the organization, but it's about making sure that we are digging down and actually understanding, you know, the things that can have an influence over it ever happening again, aren't we?
Yep.
Yeah, definitely.
Andy, just while we're still on this topic, I'm just really interested to get your thoughts on, and again, I'm just going to pick on the word that he actually used one of my favorite terms, sphere of influence. I just love it. I mean, I don't actually know what it is. I just keep seeing this ball type thing in my head being a sphere. And I mean, are all root cause analyses equal? And what I'm trying to say there is obviously, so Des and I both work a lot in construction, and we're not unique in this environment where we might be the main contractor or the primary PCBU or whatever you want to refer to us as these days, or the the lead organization, and then often sitting under us, and this is the case in many organizations, there's contractors or subcontractors, or subcontractors or subcontractors or subcontractors. Now, in the event that, say, a subcontractor has an incident and it's determined we need to be doing a root cause analysis because, I don't know, maybe our health and safety management system refers to the fact that if this sort of thing happens, this is what you do. Are they all equal? I mean, is the primary PCBU's root cause analysis going to be similar or the same as the, say, subcontractors? Should it be one? I mean, what are your thoughts in that space? It's always something that's intrigued me, and I've got my theory on it, which I'll share with you afterwards.
It's actually a great question, Brenton.
Oh, thank you.
And I guess it would go back to something to do with the contractual relationship between the parties. Because the root causes could be different for the different parties from their perspectives. So, for example, if the subcontractor has an incident, their focus should be on the incident and what caused the incident. But the next layer up, the contractor, their focus could be all about contractor management rather than the specific incident.
Yeah.
And then further up, there could be about their contractor management, their engagement, their procurement processes. So you could end up with multiple different investigations. They all sort of align, but almost one finishes where the other one starts.
Yep.
and that should really be made clear at the engagement part of the contract. Often it's not. Often it's quite murky because everyone thinks nothing's going to happen. But then when it does, it all gets a bit messy very quickly. And getting terms of references, getting people understanding. I mean, some of you smaller subcontractors, how proficient are they at doing a root cause analysis?
No.
So, what sort of would you expect from them? Or are you best off just saying, look, we'll do it. We'll provide resources, and we'll coach you through it to get the outcome that's going to benefit everybody. But I think they're all different. I think there's potentially different investigations that need to happen.
Des, I mean, what are your thoughts? I mean, you've been in this sort of situation, I'd imagine, on a number of occasions. Any different thoughts?
I think the investigations will take on a different nature between a contractor, principal contractor, and even a client potentially, where the purposes of the investigations are not aligned. And I actually put a lot of weight on what the stated purpose of an investigation is, because I think it's very, very significant on how the investigation is undertaken. So if your purpose is to prevent an incident from happening again, and that's the same as the purpose for the other party involved, the other PCBU, then it's probably likely there's going to be a lot of synergy, a lot of collaboration in undertaking that investigation, and probably some decent shared learning outcomes. If the purpose of your investigation is to obtain legal advice, that's going to be radically different. Or if the purpose of your investigation is to figure out, I don't know, why the crane failed, you're probably going to get an engineering statement, a report from a physicist, outlining the forces inflicted on different things. We got Andy doing some craft corner work there, arts and crafts.
Andy, we've had this conversation with you. Could you just give us 45 minutes of your time and stop trying to multitask here, mate? We just want 45 minutes of your time. You're not consulting now, fellow.
According to you, if I was consulting, I'd just be sat on my ass anyway.
To finish my point, sorry, Brent, I just want to say one more thing. So if the purposes have to align, but because if the purposes don't align, that doesn't absolve one party from not having to undertake an investigation. I think there's a heavy obligation to investigate in accordance with your own health and safety management system, and it's kind of in the act as well. And if one party chooses not to do a particular type of investigation or chooses not to investigate, that doesn't absolve any of the other PCBUs from that obligation.
No, great, and really, the key thing I picked up out of that, and I'm really keen to explore a little bit further, if we can maybe put some time aside for it on this chat, is you spoke about the purpose of an investigation, and it's probably the first time I've really heard anybody talk about the purpose of an investigation. I mean, well, you probably, there's always the textbook purpose, right? There's we want to understand how we prevent it from reoccurring. But in terms of purpose, I mean, I guess in the true sense of engagement and collaboration and all those, the 3 C's of safety sort of thing, which aren't in the back of my mind right now. But really, do you feel to define the purpose or to establish the purpose of the investigation, is this done generally on an investigation by investigation basis? So the incident would occur. You would sit with all the parties involved, be it the subcontractor, yourself, and maybe even the client, and go, okay, cool, we need an investigation, and determine those terms of reference effectively, right? The purpose. Or is this something you think would be done further back at, say, project planning or contract planning, where you're developing the safety plan for whatever it is that you're doing? Just explore that concept of understanding the purpose of the investigation a bit more.
I feel like it needs to be on a case-by-case basis, because each incident or event that you're investigating is going to be a little bit different. And I've read investigations from the coroner, which, the purpose of that investigation is to find out the cause of death. It's not to prevent the incident from happening again, it's to find out the cause of death. I've read investigations from different regulators, safety regulators, which the investigation was clearly for the purpose of determining whether there's a prosecution that might follow that investigation. So that the purpose of that investigation was not to prevent the incident from happening again. There's been other investigations I've been involved in where really it's the client bullying or the main contractor bullying a contractor into investigating where they stuffed up and what the subcontractor is going to do, and kind of creating a record of shiny performance for the main contractor. So I think purpose is probably not a conscious thing for a lot of people doing workplace investigations, but I think it's absolutely critical. It'll change the nature of the questions that you're asking. It'll change the type of things that you're looking for. It'll change the way you manage the whole process.
No, mate, listen, that's I've got to be fair. I think thinking back on all 13 episodes we've done this year, that's probably the golden nugget for me, to be fair. I really think that's something for us all to really consider and take heed on, right? We can obviously have our triggers, right? So what are our triggers to initiate varying investigations? But really like that idea of purpose, and maybe that should be like your first sort of line or statement, as you said in the the purpose of this investigation is to, and why hide behind it, right? Why not just blazingly put that on the front page and say the purpose of this investigation was to X, Y, Z? But I guess that means that, like you've identified, there are some primary PCBUs out there, or if you're looking at the hierarchical chain, that will never outwardly say they just want to try and pass off their responsibilities, right? Which we know they can't, but I think there's a bit of that in the mix as well, right?
Yeah.
Fantastic, mate. Well, then I guess. Well, okay. Well, no, before we move on to Andy, Keith, mate. Listen, I had so much respect for long-time listener Keith Harvey until his comment at 8:44 on the 15th of December 2023. Where he made a statement that, Andy, your comments align with how I set outcomes for learning courses when dealing with different stakeholders. Poor Keith, disillusioned.
Cheers, Keith. Look on the way.
We're gonna have to put it down to the Christmas chaos that's blinded Keith there. But Keith has also made another comment earlier on in the piece, which I'm just going to reflect on here. He says, in his experience, Western thinking is traditionally linear, with activities usually placed in separate boxes. Root cause analysis follows, IMHO, a similar interpretation, which is, it's an interesting concept, right? And I was having a conversation with somebody this week actually about how do we incorporate, there's a number of, I guess, cultures around the world, and incorporating different cultural frameworks into safety. And I guess I wonder if there's an opportunity to potentially blend a root cause analysis, put some, I guess in my words, some organization to the chaos, but use a non-linear way of doing it. I mean, do you think there's, Andy, an opportunity to potentially do that? So bring some organization to the chaos using a root cause analysis type model, blended with, say, more of a cultural type aspect where it's not quite so linear?
There's a couple of non-linear models out there. Eric Holnagel's Fram model's non-linear. I think STAM was non-linear. I find them quite challenging because my brain doesn't work like that. But people do use them. Bringing culture, and I think that's really important in building the engagement. But I'd always go back to, the models should be very strongly evidence-based, research-based. But I think the engagement piece, that's where the culture piece really does come in. Yeah. That's probably another thing we could put on the wheel, actually, culture and safety, as opposed to safety culture. Yeah. And safety.
Where does culture sit in safety, right? That's it. I'll definitely chuck that on the wheel. That'll be for sure.
Can we just jump back to when you and Des were having that in-depth conversation? I was just sat here listening. Surely the sphere of influences in the contractor relationship are understood before the work starts. So you should know who's responsible for what before you start your work, shouldn't you? I mean, you guys work in construction, you've got loads of subcontractors. You sort of lay down the law and say, this is your gig, this is my gig.
Yeah, but I'm going to be fair here. Do we really?
I don't know, that's what I'm asking.
Often it's there's the contract that most people would sign, which is it 3910 or something?
Yeah.
And to be fair, 9 out of 10 times it's relatively generic. Most people most people just throw out a safety plan, which is generally quite generic. Change the date, change the location. So I would argue that the quality of that is not there.
Yeah.
So I'd say yes, it is there. And I'd be interested to get Des's thoughts. 9 out of 10 times, it is there. There is some kind of contractual requirements, and yes, it lists out a bunch of things, but often they're generic, they're not well thought out, and they're not necessarily always fit for purpose based on that particular situation, which is fascinating in my mind anyway.
Well, that's interesting, because if that was done correctly, then it should be quite almost from that you could build your terms of reference for an investigation quite quickly, because the sphere of influences of each entity should be known.
Well, that's kind of where the conversation was going when I was trying to talk, when I was talking with Des around the purpose, right? How far back do you want to try and establish purpose, the purpose of, and I guess, so again, am I getting overcomplicating this? I don't know, but the purpose of investigations, as in, as the two.
Oh, right, okay, yeah, I'm with you. Yeah.
What is the purpose of our investigations versus what is the purpose of this specific investigation? So, is that getting too far, too granular at that point? And
I don't think it is, because I've been engaged to do a number of investigations for different purposes. I think, as Des indicated about the coroner's investigation, is different to an insurance company's investigation. And it often being engaged by legal people to effectively prepare the defence, which isn't anything to do with stopping it from happening again.
No,
it's and it's that, but understanding that up front is really, really important. Otherwise, you end up getting very, very distracted, and the investigation becomes bigger than it needs to be. But if you're on an hourly rate, that's fine.
Cool. So, Andy, well, while we got you on the line, and you patiently sat there for ages, I guess, without putting words in your mouth, mate. So, root cause analysis. I mean, end of the day, do you feel that it's got a place in safety vault? And if so, where is that place?
Oh, absolutely. And I think the way that it should be approached is that it's just an additional element of risk analysis and risk assessment and risk management. I don't think it should be thought of as a separate discrete entity. I think all that an investigation or a root cause analysis is digging down and understanding how effective or ineffective your risk management processes are. And that's how it should be approached. Yeah, it's just a check. And the same principles for risk assessment really apply to root cause analysis. It's just you're doing it in reverse almost.
Yeah. No, cool. Nice thoughts there, Andy. Des, your thoughts? Root cause analysis, I mean, does it have a place in safety vault? And if so, sort of where does that place sit in your mind?
It does, and it's so much more to unpack on this topic, and it's probably just me with my deep interest in investigations talking there. But it's I mean, once again, probably needs to be plural. I think any investigation is probably going to have multiple causes coming at it from multiple directions, and I'm not absolutely convinced that there's such a thing as a non-linear chain of events. I think there's multiple layers of linear events operating at the same time, but I don't think this concept of non-linear, I'm not convinced that that's a thing. And I think the idea that you can be non-linear in your causation, it could be a bit of a trap.
I'm wondering actually whether that's more of a use of terminology again, and then we've spoken a lot about this on most episodes around what do we actually mean by non-linear, right? And I guess I don't know where Keith was going, so if he's still listening, it'd be great to get a yes or no in the chat. But I guess most people, again, and this is, I guess we've also spoken about this, a misunderstanding about so much stuff in safety, right? We things start off with the greatest of intentions, and then kind of generally quite often go sideways. And I guess we often think about root cause analysis, and this happened, therefore this one thing happened, therefore this next thing happened, therefore this next thing happened. When I guess what you're saying, Des, and maybe this is where we're taking things out of context a little bit, is this thing happened because this thing, and this thing all happened, right? And those things all happened because these all other things potentially happened, or it's back to one thing that triggered that chain of events. So maybe it's not necessarily non-linear, it's just not as one thing related to another thing, which related to another thing. So maybe more so singular as it is plural. Does that make any sense?
Yeah, maybe that comes back to our original point that it's root causes rather than a root cause.
Yep.
Maybe that's what people mean by non-linear. If that's the case, then I agree. Yes, that if that's what non-linear means, then that's a good thing. It's better than linear.
And it's also important that we define our terms. Apparently, must be towards the end of the show, is it?
But root causes analysis just doesn't roll off the tongue as good as root cause analysis, right? So maybe
therefore we'll stick to something that's wrong and easy to say rather than work against it and do the right thing.
Yeah, of course. Why not? I mean, just take the easy path, right? Just take the easy path.
It's the human condition.
Fantastic. Hey guys, well, I mean, there's really quickly, you're obviously a fan. No one's going to deny that. No more than 3 pros to root cause analysis for you, mate.
It asks you to dig deeper. Using any model really should ask you to dig deeper, and it should ask you to, or you should understand why you're doing it for a start, which is the purpose of the investigation. A third thing, wow, I've got about 20 things I could list, but I might leave it there and give Andy a chance.
Yeah. Oh, you're going to stop there? Wow.
Yeah.
Cool. Andy, pro. Okay, 1 pro. Give us a pro for root cause analysis, mate.
I guess there's lots of research and lots of different models out there, so you can choose a model that suits. I think that's quite a nice thing. That, I mean, if you go to the Australian New Zealand stand for root cause analysis, it's got a great some great introductions to different models, and it talks about the strengths and weaknesses of them, as does the chapter in the Oshbach book that you actually held.
So sorry, mate. There's so much stuff going through my head right now as Des expressed. This is probably a topic we could carry on going. So 2 things from me off your statement there, Andy. Are you for real? Is there an ASNZ standard on root cause analysis?
Of course there is.
Oh my giddy God. I mean, come on. Sorry, that just blows my brains. And I guess the other thing that
I can't believe you haven't read it.
Oh, why would I? I mean,
we knew this topic was coming up today. Oh,
mate, I've got so much more better things to do with my life than read the ASNZ standard on root cause analysis. I mean, honestly, if I've got any questions, I'll just ring you or Des, really. That's how I get through my day. Anyway, the other thing I think which a misdemeanor, right, is a lot of people probably assume when we talk about root cause analysis, we're talking about one particular model, right, which is, like you mentioned, predominantly in New Zealand, the ICAM model. But that is not the only model, right? And I think we need to probably just maybe educate people on that there is more than one model and flavor to root cause analysis, right? Which is a good point. Yeah, and I guess my thoughts on 1 pro with regards to root cause analysis, like I said at the start of the show, and I'm going to end the show in a similar vein, is it brings organization to the chaos, right? Often something's gone on, people are panicked, people want to understand why and how, and mixed emotions, rightly or wrongly, and it really brings that sort of organization to the chaos. So Andy, I'm going to Des, get yourself ready. I'm coming to you second to give you some time to think about this, because I know you're going to struggle. Andy, 1 con relating to root cause analysis.
I think the con is in relation to the perception of what it is, the understanding of it, and because people have been on a one-day training course in investigations, they're then competent to do a thorough investigation. It's deemed to be, oh, just go and find out what happened, but actually there's a lot of subtlety and a lot of complexity around an investigation at every stage of it.
Cool. Thank you. Des, con for root cause analysis.
The con is, I think, that people might prioritize analysis over evidence. And your analysis is meaningless if your evidence is poor. And we can spend a lot of time arguing over methodology of the analysis. But that's secondary to the evidence gathering. And I think that could be a bit of a con, bit of a trap.
Yeah. Cool. For me, the trap is overuse. I think, and when I say overuse, I think there's different layers of a root cause analysis. I think depending on the severity of what you're looking at, should dictate how deep you go and how far and how long. And I think there's a risk that everyone says you've got to do a root cause analysis, for your investigations and blanket terms that. And I don't think that's right. I think there needs to be more of a layered approach to using the tool. Otherwise, you spend your entire life. If you're doing it properly, as Andy referred to, you'd spend a lot of time investigating and not a lot of time doing. So I think it needs to be, the trap is you fall into doing too much, and it's not a risk-based approach. So Des, just back to your topic. I know you'd love more time, but we've got to wrap up the show. Just your sort of wrap-up thoughts on root cause analysis and the topic we've just been talking about.
So much more to unpack. I think on the back of this, I could add another 10 topics to the spinning wheel of death.
I think we should.
But maybe it's something we can do sort of a special show on, perhaps.
Great. Or potentially, if people are interested, maybe we could do a special symposium on root cause analysis, almost like a training course of some sort. Who would have thought we could be diversifying our income streams? Not that we get paid for this.
I was going to say diversifying our income streams implies that we've got income streams out of this, and we don't. So
no, this is nothing but a black hole for the pay packet. Andy, your wrap-up thoughts, mate. Wrapping us up for the day on root cause analysis.
Yeah, I think we need to dig deeper with this topic. We need to almost do a root cause analysis on root cause analysis.
Yeah.
And I think there'll be some good conversations around organizational factors. I'd really like to talk more about those, particularly in line with sort of the ICAM model. In fact, maybe we could even put just ICAM specifically, because it's probably the most relevant to most people, and
cool.
Talk about that in more detail, because there's some real nuances in that model. I think it's a great model, but it's often poorly applied.
Yeah, too true. Yeah, listen, I and Andy, again, I hate to say this, but I think you're right. We've all kind of come almost full circle. But the only thing I'm going to agree with you on, I'm not going to agree with anything other than this one thing on this show today. And I think I'm agreeing with Des as well. I definitely think what we've highlighted in this is this was a massive topic, right? And there's so much more to cover. And I really think it'd be interesting to get some user feedback. Is there a professional development opportunity here for safety professionals where we could maybe run some kind of symposium where we really sort of unpack this at a higher level and pull it to pieces and whatnot. And guys, I'm hoping you've written down all these other topics you think are spin-offs that we can put on the spinning wheel of death, because we've got far more than 13 shows to cover next year. So we better start rolling out those topics, team. So
I've been recording this conversation, so we've got them all.
Hey, guess what, mate? This thing is always recorded.
Oh, really? I'll turn my phone off then.
And that's a good reminder as we come to the end of the show. This show is recorded, so you can, if you can't make it to the live show, which is obviously would be an amazing experience, not only for us if you contribute and get engaged like a few people have today, but also for yourselves, no doubt. But good way to start finish the working week. The other thing that we do is shortly after this will be pushed to our Spotify channel. So jump on there and tune in and make sure you get on the Spotify channel. And furthermore, it'll be also pushed out to any of your other favorite podcasting stations. But the great thing about Spotify is you get to watch the video as well. So make sure you tune in there. Well, guys, before we kind of wrap up the show completely, again, we just want to acknowledge our fantastic followers. So a big thank you. Who would have thought we're still we've got a steady stream climbing of followers, which is fantastic, and we're looking to hit another milestone going into Christmas, which is great. So tell your friends, tell your family, you want to be an OG, get involved, follow us on LinkedIn. But a big shout out to Tracy Standring, one of our latest followers. So Tracy, thank you for joining the circus. Great to have you on board. Tracy is a people and cultural national manager. So great to get to know Tracy, and look forward to having you join us on a regular basis there, Tracy. But guys, that's a wrap, right? That's not only a wrap for the show.
Not yet. Whoa.
Oh, hang on. No. What do you? No. Hey, Des, who's in charge, mate? Who's in charge?
I've got some important metrics to report after today's show.
Okay. No, here we go.
So our total liability frequency rate from our disclaiming, I previously reported that as 14.7326, and last fortnight's show was 15.5832. But that correctly, Ada pointed out to me that those figures were not seasonally adjusted.
What seasonally adjusted? What are you talking about?
As we know, well, liability changes with the seasons. So our seasonally adjusted total liability frequency rate on a 12-month rolling average is 14.7327 over 200,000 hours. Wow. The word count for today, Brenton.
Here we go.
Not a big day for you, mate. You're down at 78,536 words. But interestingly, I've almost cracked 88,000 words for this show. So turn the tables a little bit there.
I was going to say, finally, you guys started contributing to the show. So great to see you joining the party.
Keep going. That's 79,000. Yep.
It's only taken you like 13 shows to get involved, but that's okay.
And I'm not quite done there. We don't have any invented words from you, Brenton, to add to the Circus of Safety dictionary. So no contributions.
But he did talk about the study of insects early on.
That's true. Can I do a shout out as well?
You certainly can, mate. You certainly can.
Okay, shout out to Derek Toner from Engaging Solutions for delivering what I think is probably one of the best short courses that I've ever been on. Right?
Wow.
Why am I saying short course? The best course I've ever been on.
Wow, cool. Big shout out to Derek Toner.
Big shout out.
Well, looks like we're going to have to jump on a course or maybe get him on a show or something. I've never heard Des say anything flattering about anybody, including Andy or myself. So, Derek, you must be somebody special and do a really good job, unlike the rest of us. So, great work. Andy, that's the show for the year, mate. What do you got planned up over the break?
Nothing really. Just relaxing a little bit.
Of course. Going away with the family, or you just hanging out?
Yeah, to the Bay of Islands. The Bay of Islands end of January for a week.
Oh, nice.
Few days out with Oliver. Oliver's got, because we're trying to upskill him, so he's got a few training days with me.
Nice.
We're gonna look at a little bit of critical risk management next week.
Cool.
And maybe root cause analysis on between Christmas and New Year.
So maybe we could do the Chronicles of Oliver as an offshoot to the show, maybe.
Yeah, the learning journey of a safety advisor.
Nice.
Unpaid safety advisor. But I've heard there's lots of unpaid opportunities out there at the moment.
There is. We have got our internship, the sought after internship. Applications, by the way, Andy, I haven't had a chance to catch up with you. I was talking to Des earlier before the show. And interns, the applications are flooding in. So just a reminder, as somebody pointed out on my LinkedIn page, we're not paying for the intern. Just want to make that clear. But apparently we should have called it a volunteer position as opposed to an internship. But anyway, semantics, right? Who worries about definitions anyway? Des, anything from you, mate? What do you got planned for the Christmas break?
I am going away, but it's just a relaxing one. I've been really looking forward to this, and yep, should be good. No root cause analysis training between Christmas and New Year's for me.
Nice. No, fantastic. And listen, well, while you two are sunning yourselves in whatever part of the world you're sunning yourselves in, I unlike like Sign on Site, really, who power me through the show on a regular basis. A big shout out to our mates there at Sign on Site. Thank you for the for keeping me going. And I will be going through the Christmas break as well, so no stopping for me. So I'll be working through, boys. So I might have to call for some safety guidance and advice over the holidays, if that's still acceptable. The hotline.
Always.
I'd hate to think the safety of people's lives would be at stake if you weren't available for me to call and ask those important questions from. And then I'll be heading away late January. Now it's a little bit awkward. We got together our first Empire planning session before the hullabaloo that we had, and that was a great event where we had a few people join us for a couple of drinks. But I think, guys, next time we get together for a planning session, we shouldn't start drinking so early. We're going to go on a break. We're taking a break over the Christmas period with the show. I don't think we actually discussed when we were formally coming back. So we need to probably just firm that up a little bit. Keep an eye on the LinkedIn page. We will let you know when we're coming back, and it will be probably when I get back from holiday. So it'll probably be towards the end of January, guys. I reckon it'll be when we're sort of starting up again. But let's keep in touch. Hope you all, as in Andy and Des, hope you have a great Christmas and a Merry New Year. And the same for all of our followers and everybody else out there that's helped make this possible. So, big thank you to everyone, and Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, boys.
Same to you.
Same from me. Best wishes.
Take care. Talk soon.
Speak soon.